Hello, everybody. I've been wanting to do this for quite a while. I tend to say that on every live stream. I just have a long list of stuff on my Trello that I want to get to, and but seriously, I think we're gonna have some fun with this one. Oh, sorry, I'm just trying to this load. There we go. Okay, and yeah, and how's everybody doing? I had an interesting day. Okay, before we get to this Polytone stuff, I'll just load. I saw the King yesterday, and I'm so excited. I live in the capital of Canada, so yeah, he was here visiting, and we went to an event where he was going to be, and we thought, okay, hold on, I want to show you with pictures. What do we have here? Okay, so we went to this event, and when we got there, there was a market, and he was supposed to buy a few things there, and we were trying to figure out like where he would be. Like we had no idea, and then, so like one aisle had just market stuff, and then when we got here, we saw this this camera here, the TV camera. So we were like, okay, that's a good sign. And then we saw the security here, and there was a fence right here. I don't know if we can see it. That's the police for the security, because the prime minister was there, anyways, the king and queen and a bunch of other people. And the helicopters above. We're used to that, though. Like, there's a lot of security stuff, you know, being in the capital of the country. There's a whole bunch of, there's always, you know, security stuff and the motorcades going by. But anyway, so you could tell we started to hear everybody just cheering and everything. So we were like, okay, well, obviously he's there. We couldn't see anything. You could just see the phones. I don't know if I can zoom into that. No, maybe not. And then one guy had a sign, some religious sign on one side. He was saying, "It's not my king." And but anyways, yeah. So we couldn't see anything at all, but you could see this fence here. We were like, they had security guards, and like their supervisor kept going by and placing them like exactly every, you know, whatever, maybe 15 feet maybe. And she kept like getting them to move, and then they would move, and then they kept going. And then you had like more and more security there. So we were like, I think he's going to go by here. So we were getting closer and closer to the fence. So as people moved, we were like, we're going to be right next to the fence. Like we'll be able to hold our hand over and maybe shake his hand if he goes by. But, so it was, anyways, it just went on and went on, and then like some reporter came by. I think we figured it's from like 7 News in Australia. I think that was a reporter. We're like, is he coming by here? He's like, no. He says like they went into this building, but through a different door, like through the main door. So I guess this was just like an emergency, I don't know, something exit, or maybe it was a backup. I don't know what it was, but anyways. So he says, no, if you want to see them, you should probably go to where, like, go around the building and you can see the cars as they leave. So we did that. But as we were walking by, I'm like, if we go where everybody is, like, we won't see anything more. But if we go like down the route that he's going to take, I'm like, I think we could be really close. And then when we got there, actually here, I said, let's cross the street. Like we were coming like this way here. I said, let's cross the street. And because obviously they were coming like towards us on this picture. And, so I was like, we'll be really close if they go on that side. Like you never know with motorcades, they might be going in the middle. They might, some of the motorcades, they go really, really fast. Some of them, they'll go slowly, whatever. So yeah, so we were sitting there, and then these cops here were just like, they were calm. Like you knew nothing was going on for a while. And then at one point you could tell like they were getting a little bit more. They're like yelling people, get off the road, whatever. You could tell they were like close to their motorcycles. Because what they do, like they have these rolling motorcades, and when like they don't stop from there to wherever they're going. So they'll have a bunch of police officers, like the bikes, the cops on motorbikes, and then they'll go And like these guys, as soon as the motorcade has gone by, they're going to go like, 5 intersections. They have like these groups that they just keep going. Anyways, so you could tell they were like getting ready to go. And then I think this was the one that he does the whole route in advance. But anyways, so like when you look, like nobody, hardly anybody thought of going to this. So we're like, assuming they go by here, we were pretty sure. I'm like, we could be really close. Okay, yeah, this picture here. So, okay, this is what happened. I'm gonna mute it because it's just really, I'll bring it down. Just my wife and I talking. But so we're watching this, and like they were really taking their time. But we're used to motorcades in the city where like a lot of the times, if it's like a lot of the heads of state or whatever, it's like highly secure motorcades. So they'll have a whole bunch of SUVs, but you don't know which one they're in. You just know that there's one, one of them is them, right? So I was like, yeah, we won't be able to tell like who it is. And then I saw this guy waving, and I'm like, wait a minute, he's waving. And then that's the only flagged car here. So I'm like, what if it's them? And then just as they went by, I could tell the dress that the Queen was wearing. And I just like, as they went by, I'm like, it's him. Like we were so close. Like you can tell it's like 6 feet, away. Like anyways, like I saw him really, really, really close up, but it's like, it only hit me 3 seconds after he went by. Cause I wasn't expecting them to be at the beginning, and I wasn't expecting to see them. Like, anyways, it was sort of interesting. My wife got a pretty good picture. She was worried that, she didn't get the picture. I thought I got something a little bit. No, see, I can't zoom in. Or can I? Oh, there we go. So you could tell he was waving at us, and it was just so interesting because like you're used to seeing him on TV, but he was like, anyways, so close to us. So it was really exciting. And I was telling her, I'm like, I don't get starstruck. I don't even know. Like it's not like the royal family is like the biggest thing to me, but for some reason, there was something special about the whole thing. I was like, I don't know. I felt completely starstruck. I loved it. But then anyways, so yeah, that's pretty well it. And then, yeah, you could tell actually what I was saying with the SUVs, because I didn't know, but the Prime Minister was there too. So as we went, you could tell there was so much sun that the camera, I didn't even know where the camera was pointing, but like, just look at how many vehicles in this motorcade. And then these here, the Prime Minister was in one of these, like nobody had, you can't tell which one it is, but anyways, it was just one after the other, after the other, after the other. And then the tactical vehicles come in after, and then the ambulances, and then, it's the end of the motorcade. But, it was funny because I was saying, yeah, we wait for the ambulances. That's where, like, cause there's always ambulances following. And I was like, oh, it's weird. There's no ambulance, there's no ambulance this time, and then you see one pulling out, and then anyways, it was interesting. But I actually saw a video of this motorcade like further downtown. They were like zooming by, so we were really lucky to see them. But anyways, that's my exciting moment of yesterday. I just had to share with you guys, even though we're here to talk about Polytone. So yeah, so anyways, that's what we're talking about today, Polytone. I'm gonna try to figure out how to use this one really well. I used it quite a bit actually when it came out, and I haven't really revisited it in a while. So I want to go through what I did is, and you notice it's Ableton. I could use Reason for this, but I work faster in Ableton Live, so I loaded it up in Ableton Live, but we're going to load a whole bunch of Polytone as a rack unit in Ableton Live. I created, I don't know, seven of them to start, and I put this beat together for another track I'm working on. I just took it out because I thought it might be a good background. So we're going to take that and load up some stuff in Polytone, see if we can figure out how to do a bunch of stuff. I don't know if I can I make this bigger? Oh yeah, with them. There we go. Just want to make sure it's not getting cut off. Okay, I think we can see that well, right? And yeah, so I want to sort of go back and forth between the manual. where's my manual here, and the tool itself, and see what we're able to come up with. And because there's some stuff that I realized that I haven't used at all. There's some really interesting stuff. I did a video a while back about this button specifically, the age button, that I love. And I was sitting there, I'm like, somebody said, I think it was Hollow Sounds, and he'll end up participating a lot. Like you'll see him around if you use Reason, you watch Reason videos, because he's great, like, for conversations about that. He does videos about it as well, I think. But I know he does videos. I can't remember if it's Reason videos. But anyways, he was saying, oh, it's just, all it is wait, what was it? Okay, because I want to get this right. Give me a second here. It's Polytone. Because I started to laugh because at some point, yeah, he says, he had said, oh, it's just detune. And I was like, it can't be just detune. Like, so I wrote to Reason, and I said, I have a question for the developers and to Reason Studios. And I said, it seems that at the extreme settings, it feels a little bit like WoW and Flutter. Like it doesn't seem like just detune. I'm like, can you give me an idea of what the age feature does? And the reply was, the age control in Polytone detunes the oscillator and filter frequencies differently for each new voice. That's all, really. So anyways, yeah, Hollow Sounds was right. All it is a detune, but it feels like it does more than just the detune. So anyways, I do love that button. We'll look at it in a minute, when we get to it a little bit later. But that one button makes the whole synth interesting for me. And it's weird. Like, well, I'll have like different things that are most interesting to us. And I find that sometimes, like, for me, it's something random and weird that seems like it wouldn't make a difference for anything, but that's like that one thing. Anyways, this age button I do really like. All right. So what do we do first? Okay, let's look real quickly at the manual. I won't go through all of it, but they say it's a synth lover's synth, and it does basically like polysynths in the past. Yeah, sure. Let's look at the panel overview. Patch selector is easy. I'm just trying to find like interesting. The age and master volume controls, the layer controls, which are, where's number 3 here? That's probably the biggest part in this synth, is this section here. Like, the interesting thing about Polytone is it's basically 2 synths in one. So you've got your A and your B. And what I thought this did here at the beginning, I don't know if we can, okay, they both have the same, let's do, actually I'm just going to do a simple, so if we go to the mix morph, so do, okay, so if we go mix, fader, this just fades. I thought that was all it was you can fade left to right from one synth to another. So the same sound, and you can blend. But it's more than that. It can actually do more of a morph type thing, where it's basically, you can tell the difference. Actually, that sounds really interesting. You can tell the difference between that and just mixing them back and forth. So this morph is actually what makes this synth sort of interesting. Obviously, just playing one quick note on the initial patch doesn't show off that much, but you can still tell the difference of what it's doing. So you make a change on this one, and you're blending between the two. Either the audio, like I said, if you're doing the mix, or with this morphing, which is where the magic happens on this. And then, yeah, it's basically the oscillators here. the LFO, the envelope settings, and then the filter envelope. This section here, the filter, this is where I think I'm gonna have to look through here for a few things. There's some things that are pretty obvious, like the drive and the frequency resonance or whatever that you have on every filter. But this here, I actually don't like. I'm trying to look at it now and see what, like, okay, so you've got the low pass. So I have a feeling this is a low pass, and then I'm not sure, like, I don't know. There is the 24, was it 24 dB by octave or whatever, and then and 12, but I'm not sure like what it would do in between. Anyways, we're gonna look at this one, and then the amp. This is just the gain, the level, and the spread, which I'm assuming is gonna be adding a little bit of unison. Actually, here okay, we'll do it on the A. Okay, that seems to go just to the right. And then what does this do? Okay, that's weird. Okay, so we're gonna have to look at this spread thing because it doesn't do what I thought it would. And then, yeah, and this I'm assuming is for the wheels. We'll do the LFO depth, but I don't think we have an LFO set up on here. Okay, so anyways, we'll get to that one later too. Okay, so this just basically explains what we're like. Okay, this here. Oh yeah, I hadn't even noticed this section down here. So what do they call it? The global controls, LFO effects. And okay, we're gonna slow it down a little bit. Oh, that was sort of an interesting little sound. Okay, so we've got the settings down there, and then this is where we would have the chorus, except I do not like that sound. So we've got the flanger, fast, slow. I never, like, if you've watched my live streams in the past, like, I'm not a fan of the flanger effect or phasing. They're two things, and resonators for some reason. I don't know. They bug me. They do have their uses. I do use them for some stuff, but it's not my. They're not my go-to effects, even though people love these. Yeah, I find. Of course, does sound nice. See, this is the age I was saying. Which detunes, we don't really notice it that much on this sound, but okay, and it's got the built-in reverb, which I never even really noticed, and it seems to have an echo, so it's got a delay built in. It's interesting because it's not just an echo, like it's not just a delay, because you can hear there's reverb in there. So it's just the hall and the room. So obviously we don't have that many. We don't have that many effects to. We don't have that many options on it. It's really just the amount and the decay, but I do like that. I like the sound of that delay. It's almost like, I think because it adds a little bit of reverb at the same time, it's almost like a bit more of a washy delay. But yeah, so okay, that's interesting. Okay, so let's learn about specific things on there. Signal flow. Yeah, if you, I mean, can we switch? That's one thing. Yeah, you can tell the signal flow on here a lot of the time. Some synths you'll be able to sort of adjust the flow here and there, and like adjust it's basically the order in which, each of these are going through. So you're going from the oscillator and the other oscillator in, they're both going into the mixer, then it's going into the filter. And if we look here, then it'll go to the amp, even though they don't show it on here. And yeah, and then the mods and the LFO are sort of like, they're dealing with this stuff. So this is the last part. I thought it was weird that this didn't seem to be at the end, because this generally is at the end. That's where you have your gain volume but yeah, so these other ones are basically, you're dealing with stuff that's just going back into the oscillator, so you can have a little bit of something like the LFO, where if we remove it, it's just that normal sound. So okay, and then layer B is the same as A. And then obviously you've got your A, you've got your B that does the same thing, and then at the end they go into here. But I find that interesting though, because I find it interesting that this amp isn't like here, like at the end of the effects. That surprises me a little bit. I don't know, maybe it's always like that, but I feel like this is usually at the end. But I don't tend to use effects that much in a synth because, yeah, I tend to use external stuff anyways. But it is nice to have them in there once in a while, because it lets you, yeah, it lets you. Sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at once. It's nice to have it in there because it lets you make adjustments to it without having to load up anything external. It can help you do stuff a little bit more quickly a lot of the time. And yeah, so okay, let's go back to the manual here. Global output, that's pretty easy. Okay, this is where they talk about the age, and like I said, I did a whole video specifically about this, but yeah, it simulates the degradation of the analog components, and you know, they say it could result in pitch and filter fluctuations. But anyways, it makes you give it a feel, like a sort of nostalgic. Why can't I think of that word? A nostalgic effect. And you can go back to like a 1970s feel. Like, we might be able to tell if we load a preset on here. No, I'm trying to find. Let's I'll just do some. You don't notice that a huge difference. You don't notice a huge difference. It's almost like it's not on, but I think it is on automatically. But I remember when I did try this, like it did make a pretty good difference. It's weird because like it should make a bigger difference in this. Oh, maybe after. Okay, here we go. If we turn it off. No. Yeah, it's not making a huge difference, but it does on some sounds, because I've had this sound really interesting before. It's weird that it's not changing that much. That's why I was checking to make sure like we're on the right the right one, and we are. But anyways, we might notice a bit of a bigger difference when we try it on different sounds later on. But let's go back here. The volume, we don't need to worry about that. It's just the volume level. Pitch bend wheel can be used. Like, this is all stuff that you'll have on pretty well any device. The mod wheel can be used for the FM amount, filter frequency, LFO depth individually for each layer. Oh, okay. That actually is interesting, because like technically what this is saying is if we take, we'll bring this LFO up. Yeah, I don't want it to affect, here, we'll just go. So you can tell it's affecting this LFO here, but we can, over here, we can have it not affect. Or no, not there. If over here we can remove this, so it won't affect. No, wait a second. That's not what's going on. I'm trying to make sense of this. Okay, so it's basically... Maybe if we remove it? Because it's affecting the FM amount, you can hear it, but I want it to affect the LFO, but I'm trying to figure out how to get it to affect just the LFO. Okay, we're going to take this FM amount off. That's weird. Okay, maybe I don't know how to use this one, because it should be affecting the depth of this LFO, like how far in it goes. So you can have it just move a little bit or quite a bit. But there's something else here that, yeah, there's something we're not adjusting here. Okay, well, anyways, that's the mod section where you can make these wheels affect whatever you want them to affect. The filter frequency. It's interesting because you can automate this. So this is the pitch. There's a way on... There we go. There we go. I did a video about this a while back. I keep forgetting how to do it. You hit select on your push, and then as soon as you touch the touch strip, it'll switch between mod wheel and the pitch bend. So we want the mod wheel here. So it's controlling this wheel instead of, when we do this, it's controlling the pitch wheel here. So anyways, we can adjust like this FM amount. We can make it affect this one. So if we're morphing these two sounds together, this will be affecting the FM amount here, but it may not affect it on here. If we turn this off, it's just affecting the one from one level. So it just lets you adjust these things so the wheel affects either one or both up to whatever level you want. Okay. Go back to this manual here. The voices. Okay, voices. Where do we have the voices? It doesn't show us. So I gotta find this thing. If you guys see it in the chat, let me know, because I should be able to see it by now. I see the glide. Oh, here we go. The voices right down here. Okay, so if you don't know what the voices are on a synth, it's if you have it on one, you'll use that a lot of the time for bass, where you can't play chords. I'm playing 3 notes at the same time, and it's just choosing one. It's choosing whichever one you played first. And then if I do the 3, because I'm playing 3 notes at the same time, you can tell now it's playing a chord. And what the voices are, like, if you go to like 12, it doesn't mean, like, it's not to play 12 notes at the same time, even though you can. But notes, when you play something, there will have, on a lot of the time, depending on your on the settings you've got, it'll have some sustain or decay. So, sorry about that. So if we do that, it goes on for a little bit. But if we go and if we were to adjust the release, just trying to wrap my head around what what this thing's doing. Okay, so we'd see, now I let it go. So the theory behind it is, like, if I play this, I press that third one, that first one is still playing along with the other two. So it basically, you want to have it high enough so that it's not cutting off the notes once you're playing. Like if you play one chord here and then you play that sounds really weird, but if you're playing one chord and then you're playing the next chord and the next chord, you don't want stuff to get cut off in a weird way. So you want to have enough voices so it can handle whatever it is you're playing, but also you don't want to have too many, because it can start to affect your CPU and stuff over, over time, if it's trying to still playing that note you played like 20 seconds ago. So okay, so the voices, what do they say about, if you just want to play a polyphonic patch, you can leave the voices setting at 20 at all times. DSP load won't increase with a higher, only if you play a lot of notes. So that's the thing that I was saying with the CPU. If you're playing, like if you're not playing a whole lot of notes, yeah, I guess that's what they're saying, is it won't affect. Can't we? I thought we. Oh, there we go. It won't affect, like it's not like Unison that will actually be playing as it will increase your CPU if you go in Serum and you throw the Unison way up. It'll affect your CPU because it is actually playing each of those voices. This one isn't playing those voices, but the higher it is and the more quickly you're playing, the more it could start to affect your CPU, because it is still playing that original note and adding it onto the new one. So yeah, it'll just affect if you're playing a lot of notes at the same time, not necessarily pressing them at the same time, but that they're still going. That's interesting. They say if you want a monophonic playback, like for bass or whatever, you could use retrig or legato modes instead of lowering the parameters to 1. Let's try it. So okay, so these are technically doing the same thing as bringing this down. Interesting. I actually didn't know that. I don't know. I'm assuming it works the same way on any synth. So I learned something tonight. Okay, the key mode, and that's up here. Poly retrig. Oh no, poly retrig legato. That's okay. Yeah, those were the voices. Select this. Okay, select this if you want to play Polytone dual synthesizer polyphonically. The maximum number of voices is 20, as we just learned. And okay, so this is where we usually would want it, if unless you just want one note at the same time. But retrig. See if you want to play it in monophonic mode, and always retrigger the envelopes as soon as you play a new note. And legato, mono legato mode is also monophonic. If you play a new note without having released the envelopes won't start over. Okay, so I'm pressing this one, and then I'm pressing the other ones. Oh no, hold on, we're on poly, so that's how that should be. And then on this one, okay. Oh, see, you can tell. So this one here, you've got your attack every time. So on the retrig mode. And then on this legato mode, it'll just keep playing. You won't have the attack. It's basically you do this, you press the second note and the third note, and it just starts playing them where, like, sort of where you left off, but still if you had your if the waveform or whatever of what you're playing was like this, it would be like you'd be going here, and instead of going back to the beginning every time, it's basically getting it like here. If you're pressing that second note here, it just like keeps going from where the other one left off. I don't know if that makes you guys probably know what I'm talking about. But yeah. So, and most synths will have this. Okay, layer controls. Let's look here. So the 2 layers, and like I was saying, that's where the magic of this thing that people really enjoy is in this morph button here. And they say it can be controlled from the CV on the rear panel, which is interesting because you could take let's just do an LFO here. And where is it here? Oh, morph is up here. I was looking down here. So in theory, this should be, we're going to get rid of the actual LFO from. Maybe it's this one here we need. I've never used this LFO tool. I usually do the equivalent of it in Ableton. Okay, that sounds like we're, yeah, that sounds like we're, oh. That's really interesting. It sounds like an alarm. So if we remove it. I like the sound of that. I'm thinking I should probably save this. That makes for an interesting sound. But anyways, that's the thing. So what it's doing here, if we remove, like we can remove this here. See, that's what it's doing here. So it's basically just controlling this morph button here. And like I was saying earlier, if we want to compare it to mix, see, like it doesn't do the same thing. That's all I thought it did originally, was I thought it mixed between the two layers. But that morph is what, you know, what makes it really interesting. So then we can change to a little bit more of like a square. Interesting. Okay. So, yeah, it's nice to be able to do that. And I'm assuming we can automate it too if it's here. Yeah. I'm assuming we can automate that. But, okay, so the mixing, like I said, yeah, it deals with, you can get fatter sounds because it's basically like every time you press the key, you're playing two synths at the same time instead of one, which is sort of nice as well if you want to build stuff up. And the interesting thing is too, you can, I'm gonna get rid of this. To use something like that, if we go to mix here, where it's playing them both at the same time, what I like to do is you take one of these, you bring it up. Doesn't sound that great on this sound here, but if you bring it up by 7 semitones or 12 if you want to do a whole octave, but this makes us sound a lot fatter, like, because it's actually playing it at a higher pitch as well. So it's basically like playing two synths exactly at the same time, but one of them's always like, you know, a fifth of an octave, like you're playing the other one a fifth up. So it's basically consistent, and it just makes it sound a lot bigger. You'll notice if you get presets for a synth, sometimes if they really seem really full, a lot of the time that's what they're doing, is they're throwing one of them pitched up. It's not, yeah, it's not just playing the same note. It's actually they actually repitch the second oscillator or whatever, or the third, or all three. Because if you have three and you've got one at 0, one at +7, one at +12, it'll really have a full, rich sound. And it's not necessarily just that the oscillators are doing a whole lot. A lot of the time it's just that when you press your note, you're really pressing 3 notes at the same time. So almost a chord. So, okay, we'll go back to this manual here. And then the AB. We talked about this quite a bit already. Not much to say there. You can switch to A or B. If it's blue, it's the first one. If it's red, it's the second one. And the mode. In single mode, each layer plays back individually depending on if you click the A or B button. So, okay, so I hadn't even noticed this one here. So yeah, if you don't want to use the polytone part at all, this is playing A, this is playing B. It's actually nice too when you're creating your sound. If you want to create them separately instead of going back and forth on this here, you can just, you know, make your sounds exact, and yeah, then you can start mixing them and morphing them. The thing is, I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I want to be able to, oh, here we go. Copy A to B, which is what I was saying earlier about pitching stuff up. So if we do copy A to B, this here, see, they're both exactly the same. So that's where you can take this one here without making any other changes. And hold on here. Oh, okay, we're going to go, bring this one back to 0. If you do shift, it'll be more exact. But isn't there a way to, anyways. Oh yeah, I think we got to do control and click on it. I'm used to double clicking on it. A lot of the things it'll, like especially in Ableton Live, it'll just reset if you double click. I always forget you have to do, I think it's Option or Alt if you're on Windows. Okay, so this one here, and then we're going to pitch this one to 12. So if we go, this is single mode here. Oh yeah, we'll have to do it to both of these. Shift again, and yeah, so this one's at 0. So this is here. So this is playing the same note 1 octave up, but that's where it could be interesting if we do the mix specifically, not the morph. So that's where it builds up. And then this, you don't notice it that much, but if we do 7 instead of the 12, you'd tell it really builds it up. We can even have that second one just a little bit. So if we go to single, this is with it on its own, and then as we mix it, you can tell it just fills it up a little bit more. Now, I'm curious to see what it does if we do morph. Yeah, morph doesn't, like in this case, it's not really, all it's doing is going between these levels. So it's basically going between the 0 and 7. Like that's all it's changing. So it doesn't sound as good. This is where you'd want to use the mix. That does sound really nice, actually. Oh, I like the sound of that. So anyways, that's what we're dealing with here. And okay, so they're showing here like what the morph really does when you're switching between. So if this one's got its frequency up here, this is the same. So we're basically just changing the frequency, and this one is low. So here, the morph, depending on where you go, is going to go between this and this. So yeah. You're on the wedding of Charles and Camilla 2005, are you? It's it's interesting. I don't know, the whole thing's interesting. It's almost like the royal family. Like people don't talk about it as much anymore, but it's still got an interesting little thing about it. And they both look great for when they drove past me. Okay, so mix morph is and nice to see you, by the way, Auto. Mix morph. So we went through that. Yeah, we basically went through this whole thing already. Copy. Okay, so I wanted to see what these other copies. So A to B, B to A. Oh, okay, and then swap. So this actually will be easy to figure out because the only change we made is the pitch here. So if we do A to B, which we did, it would copy that and bring that to this. If we want B to A, it'll take this and make, well, actually we can try it here. B to A, and then the A will be pitched this way. And then swap, which won't work now because, oh, there we go. It's command we have to press, and which I'm assuming is control. No, yeah, control on Windows. So if you press command and you click on it, it resets. I'm just so used to double clicking to get it to do that. To do that. But anyways, if we swap it, then this becomes what this was, and this one goes back to 0. So that's really interesting that, I don't know, if it feels like they could have made it more complicated where you had to be on that window and then like while you're on A, that's where you go and you send it to B. I like that you can go here just back and forth. The only thing is, does it have undo? I don't believe it does here. It may, in Reason, it might, I don't think it has it on the rack unit, but some plugins work amazingly with undo, and some of them don't. But even if we go to undo history here, I don't know, do we even have the undo history in 12.1? I think that might just be in 12.2 they added, but anyways, it doesn't matter. So yeah, so that's you can copy from your settings from one to the other and go back and forth. The glide, we're nose to nose, literally. Oh yeah. Well, why is that, by the way? Okay, glide we haven't looked at actually either. Glide. So we're gonna bring this up, and I'm gonna go to automatic. So, okay, maybe a little too long. I want to have it enough, so yeah, you can tell. See, if we go off, it's just stiff. This way here, it just blends in a little bit more. It's glide, like, you know, most synthesizers have this, but it's always nice to look at as an option. It's always nice to have in there. And then I'm guessing, so we'd have to go do the same thing on the B. Yeah, you can tell more. Yeah, when you're using it on both. But anyways, it's just a normal glide setting. When on, the pitches will glide from any of the available voices, the retrig. Yeah, that depends on if you're playing the note and then you start the next note before you let go of the first one. It'll act differently if you're on. But oh yeah, see, I keep forgetting that there's two of them. I'm like, why is it still gliding when it should be off? But I always forget that you're dealing with two different oscillators in this case. So yeah, that's something you really have to keep in mind when you're making changes, especially changes that you want on the whole instrument, because this glide generally, like, you'll generally want the glide on both, not just on one of the synths. So like one of these panels here. So okay, so the wheels, we went through the wheels a little bit earlier. The FM amount, we looked at that, where as the wheel goes up, it's adding a little bit more of the FM amount, and the filter frequency. And we did the same thing. Actually, these are up on both, and they should be up, yeah, on this one too, because we did copy, right? And see, the LFO is the one that we were having a little bit of a issue trying to get it to work normally. So let's look at the depth knob controls how much of the mod wheel should scale the mod parameters. Oh, okay. I'm wondering if it's this here. Oh, we were looking at the global LFO. That's what the problem was. We're looking at the global LFO, and this is affecting this LFO here. Okay, that makes sense. So if we bring this all the way up, and we'll do the rate pretty fast. So in theory, when we play this, I'm going to take the FM amount off and the filter frequency off. I'm going to do the same thing on B. Actually, you know what? We're just going to use A just so we have. So in theory, well, let me turn the. I rarely have the notifications on my phone, but yeah, I needed it today. I get a text from somebody saying, I love chicken nuggets, and musical nuggets are even better. Anyways, so in theory, this should be affecting, yeah, we might want to do this with a different sound. We're going to go to single again. So this should be affecting, oh, here we go. Maybe that's not what it was. Because we need this to affect the LFO, but just the LFO. Is it something here? Okay, let's go back and read this, because the LFO depth knob, how much the mod wheel should scale the mod parameters. We've got that. So we set it up. Oh, the mod parameters here. Oh, okay, so it's doing the stuff, these two here. So oh, there we go. So this is really just on one oscillator. This is, and by the way, that stuff I was mentioning earlier where you can do like 7 semitones, it's true, we do have 2 oscillators on here. So you could technically have 4 notes playing at the same time if you want to make it feel really wide. You've got 2 on each. But anyways, so we do this. So if we bring this down, no, see, it's doing it again. Oh. And then this level here should be down. Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, so these will work with the shape button here. And then, so if I press a note, it's down. You can tell this mod wheel down here. If we have it all the way down, it's just playing a note. And then as we bring it up, it's taking these LFOs here. So that's sort of interesting, because we have these LFOs here on each oscillator, and we have like 4 oscillators between the 2. And then we have okay, I get, by the way, the chat earlier we were saying you're nose to nose, that you were really close to them. Okay, that's awesome. It took me a little while. Been a long day. And yeah, so you've got these LFOs on each oscillator. So you've got basically 4 LFOs there. Then you've got the mod LFO, and then you've got the global LFO that will go on the whole sound. So you can have a whole bunch of LFO related stuff going. So anyways, it's sort of interesting. And to have any effect, the mod knobs have to be set somewhere in the LFO range. So I'm assuming that is on this side here on the left instead of the right, where it becomes the envelope. And if you set to maximum, I have some other mods set with the mod wheel at 0, there'll be no LFO modulation at all. So that's if we go. So I'm assuming if we go to these, okay. But it is still affecting the LFO. So I'm assuming, because of these here. So we're going to reset these 2 as well. Yeah, see? Now, even though this LFO depth is on full, and I'm moving the mod wheel up and down, it's not affecting the LFO at all. So it does have a nice little sound, this LFO. But okay, so pitch bend range, that'll be the same as on any, as if you go through this. Okay, I have to set this back to. Okay, we're gonna get rid of the LFO because okay. So this one, the pitch bend is 2 semitones. If we wanted to affect a whole octave, we should be able to go to 12, and then okay, just like any synth, nothing different there, but the maximum is 24 semitones. Okay, and 24 is 2 octaves, 12 per semitone, 12 semitones per octave. And the oscillator section, see, because this is a section here that we talked about the LFO, like Okay, I'm seeing here. Okay, I think I know what's going on. Okay, makes sense. See, I was trying to turn these things on. These don't do anything. This is actually the settings for these LFOs here. You see here the mod. So basically this, if you're changing this, then it goes to the mod, and then these are the settings. So basically, if we want to do this here, and here, and I'm noticing already the delay must be up. Yeah, see, the delay is up. So it plays and then the LFO starts. You might want to have that if you're playing an instrument. You want to have a little bit of tremolo or whatever. But if we take this down, there's no delay. Like the LFO is. So these here are the settings, and then the rate. This will make it faster. And then even the delay. So it starts just normally, and then it starts to get a little bit more wonky. So these are the settings here, and then this here. But I'm not sure what... So I'm not sure... That's what we're going to learn in a second. But so we've got this figured out here. So this is going to these settings here. Instead of having these three knobs for this LFO and then these three knobs for this LFO, it makes sense. It's all in one place. But I'm not sure what the shape is and what the second one is for. Shape mod A? Pitch mod. Oh, okay. So this is for the pitch and this is for the shape. So, okay, let's go through this and we'll figure it out in a minute. How much of the pitch should track MIDI notes? Where is this? The keyboard button. What that basically does is if you have something that's not, like if it's, you want to have a, let's say a hi-hat or something, you don't want to be pitched up and down as you go up and down the keyboard. No matter which note you press, it'll stay the same. Most synthesizers have this, but I don't see, oh, keyboard here. So if we take this keyboard here, okay, we're going to get rid of that LFO because it's getting a little annoying. So you can tell no matter which note I press, it's always playing the same one. So you'll usually have this up unless, like, it's very rare that you'll have, because if you do have it down, like you said, it's always playing the same thing. But if you want the pitch to be different, you have to adjust your pitch on here instead of here. I mean, it can be useful for some stuff, but yeah, if you're playing music, like musical sounds with, you know, the sound that you designed, you'll be using the keyboard. The keyboard will be up. The fine, change the pitch. This can be useful. This the fine, it can be useful to go up like maybe 7 on one of them, especially if you have the same thing on both oscillators. Like these are both sine waves. It just helps reduce like phasing type effects. So, and you don't notice, like if you start to go a little bit. Even this, why, like it should make more. I think we may only have one oscillator. Oh, there we go. Oh, see, I've been changing both of these all along, and it was really just playing the one oscillator. This is your mix here, which is between this and this. This is useful. I'm hoping this is like even a little useful for you guys, because sometimes it's just going through, like, it's stuff that we know how to use, but it just looks a little bit different on each synth, and it's sort of nice to sit there with one. Like, I have a lot of synth, and I end up going from one to the other to the other, and I keep going back to the ones that I'm used to. So if I'm on Serum, I know exactly where to go, but on another one, it's like you have to figure out, okay, this is where that button is, and it's nice to sit there sometimes and just sit there with one of them and really, figure out the actual flow. People used to do that so much more, where they would sit there with one instrument, but we have so many options now. Like, if this was a hardware synth and it costs like $3,000, like, you'd sit there and figure it out. But because we have access to so many different plugins and whatever, by the time we start to use one, like a new one comes out, and we just, it's something shiny, you move on. So it's nice to really sit there. So anyways, yeah, so if we go here, and we'll go back just this fine. I'm just going to reset both of these. So this one's at 0, and then so this is both of them are playing the same thing. But if we just do this fine, just 7, may not notice that much of a difference unless you're on headphones. But you can tell there when it's just one of them, you can tell there's a little bit of a difference. But it's still the same note. It's just pitched off a little bit, and it just helps make the sound a little bit bigger, and it just helps you not having those two oscillators just fighting with each other. So pitch mod, waveform selector. Okay, so I really haven't, that's one thing I haven't really looked at. There's not a whole bunch of them. It's just the basic shapes, like the sine, the triangle, pulse, which is a little bit like a square. I guess it is related to square. Yeah, I went through it at some point trying to figure out the difference between pulse and square. But this really does have a nice sound. And I guess in this case, it's playing the saw and the sine. So if we have just this. Anyways, just very basic shapes. And then digital. Did they say what digital is? Like, you can tell it's a little harsher. But okay, they explain it here. So, and band noise. So band noise and digital are the ones that aren't like the typical ones. Saw pulse, triangle, sine. Okay, digital. A selection of very nice and useful wavetables which you can crossfade between with the shape. Oh, okay. Okay, so this shape knob that we were talking about earlier, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually just get rid of this second one, and we're just going to use... Oh, this is interesting, especially if you automate this. This sounds a little bit like a bell. Like if we were to... Interesting. Okay, so that's a digital one. And you can tell this end here is completely different. And then what did they have for the other one? The band noise, oscillator 1 only. Oh, okay, so it's got different. So this one has band noise. This last one here is chaos on the second one. So we're going to go with the first one. Noise, where shape controls the bandwidth. Shape at 0%. The result is close to a sine wave. Higher shape progressively adds more noise. Okay, so basically... Okay, I'm going to bring the release down and the sustain. So this is basically more of a sine wave. Okay. And then... Interesting. But even just this, like... Interesting sounds. And then what if we go... I want to see what the chaos is. Okay, well, look at the description for the chaos. A wide range of noises, heavily modulated signals, great for adding a bit of chaos to the sound. So this is just this one here. So as we go with the... Okay, this is better for glitch type stuff. But if you do automate this, you get it sounding, especially if we add... It could be good for making sounds like you're going through an AM radio. Yeah, this really is chaotic. All right, it could make for interesting sounds. I don't really use it very much in deep house that I'm doing mostly, but I could see the uses for this. The shape knob, transform the oscillator. Okay, so I want to go to just a plain one. So we're going to go to the sine wave and go back here. Okay, feels like it's pitching it up and down more than anything. Then the shape mod. Okay, shape mod, set a desired shape modulation amount with the shape mod knob. So shape mod, where are we? Okay, this is the shape mod here. So if we go to the LFO, so we'll bring, that was here that we controlled the... So if we bring that delay up, it'll be just a normal note. And then it starts to move around. Okay, so... Okay, see, for some reason I thought this was the middle here, so this is where it will likely be when we initialize it. Let's just go back to the initial patch. How do we initialize this again? If we do browse, that won't work. Do we have an initialized patch here? Copy patch. Reset device, there we go. Okay, so yeah, so when we reset, it's at 0. So these shouldn't be pointing straight up. They will be at 0. And then, so we should have, this will be the mod here. And bring, and this is where, if we want to do. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. So this one here, that's it. So I always forget to use. So this isn't doing much, but once we move the shape, there you can tell it moving around. But if we don't have the shape, it's not really doing anything. So, okay. Okay, so the FM amount mod. And then what does the envelope do? Okay. The oscillator sync. So oscillator sync will be this one here. It's funny, just pressing that button makes a huge difference. I'm not even sure what it's doing right now, but the oscillator sync will restart the period of another oscillator, so they'll have the same base frequency. That's interesting. Just that one button. Makes such a big difference. And then, okay, that does not sound good. Okay, so this is that one button that I'm gonna have to remember to turn. Okay, let's try on, I want to try it on a patch itself. So, no, this won't work. Okay, so what happens if we press it here, and then we'll do the same thing on B. I don't know if I like it that much on this one. So what does it, like, so it's basically just adding, it's syncing it to another oscillator, I guess. Okay. Anyways. To hear the sync effect, make sure you listen to oscillator 1. Oh, so yeah, it'll probably make more of a difference if we're... Okay, we'll just do... Look at the difference it makes. Like if we turn this off, and we can turn it on and off while it's playing as well, which is interesting. You don't have to re-trigger, like it doesn't wait till you re-trigger the note. But anyways, I prefer it on this sound with it off, but if it is an interesting way to get some interesting interesting sounds without having to press a whole bunch of things. Like it'll it's a quick way to test out some different sounds. Okay, the mixer, I don't know that we need. Oh, the noise. So this is basically a third oscillator. Like it's a noise oscillator, but are there any settings for the noise oscillator? That's the question. The level of white noise. Yeah, so it's not controllable that much, but if we go to B, you can tell a little bit of. So for some sounds, if you were making a hi-hat or something, that would be really nice to have in there. But anyways, yeah, so you do have the noise there, and then this mix here is just between this oscillator here and this one. Hello, Chill and Connect, nice to see you. And okay, and then the level we don't have to worry about, but I didn't know this had the noise in there. It's like I said, it's not that customizable, so it won't be useful for tons of stuff, but it could be useful to add a little bit to your sound, depending on what it is you're making. Okay, so this is the filter over here that I was saying, this section here that we want to look at here. So it's weird because this here is doing a little bit the same as just dealing with the frequency. You're changing the filter type, but it's interesting that you can just blend the filter types. Like it's not, a lot of the synths will have, like these will be just set amounts. Like you can either have the 24 dBs or, which I'm assuming that's what this is, the number of dBs per octave. But yeah, usually you only have, you can set each one individually, but you can't usually like morph between them. And you can tell between this and this, if you were to automate both of these or throw the LFO like we had earlier, actually, let's try that now. If we take this, so what we're looking at is the filter type and the frequency. So hopefully they're here, the filter frequency. So if we take this one here, we throw it on the filter frequency, and then this one here on the filter type, we should be able to so this one here is affecting, which one do we do again? The first one is, okay, so this LFO1 is affecting this filter, the frequency, and LFO2 is affecting this filter type here. So we're able to this one doesn't seem to be, oh, there we go. Is it not on? Oh, I said earlier, I've never even used the LFO in here, so this should be affecting. If we, let's just see which one this is affecting. So we're going to do this. There we go. So if we do tempo sync on this one as well, and then bring this one back in. So one of them is going quickly, one of them is going slowly. And so you've got both of them going at the same time. You can get some interesting effects, and then you can adjust this at the same time manually. So this is deciding what your LFO is going to affect. So, yeah, I was actually I was thinking about that the other day, wondering how that worked out for you for the move, because I know we got sidetracked last time and we went through a whole bunch of that stuff. So I ended up buying the move. I've been loving it. It's easy to learn, get the hang of. Yeah, it is really nice. Pretty immediate to learn. Love how all the buttons settings are there, and a little to no menu diving. You're absolutely right. And that's the thing. Like at the beginning, I was thinking with the move, like that little screen, I was like, it's going to be limited because there's so much, but you're dealing with one thing at a time. And one thing you're going to notice is it's easy to pick up, but the more you use it, you're going to find like new little options that you're like, oh, I had no idea that, like, you'll probably press a button by mistake at some point and be like, oh, I didn't know it did this. And then it opens up a whole other, menu of stuff you can do. So good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And, I'm glad you're happy with your choice. I mean, I love the thing, but I always worry if I say, oh yeah, it's a great thing. And then somebody's like, oh yeah, it didn't work for me for my workflow or whatever. You never know. So anyways, I'm glad you're enjoying it. So yeah, so that's the filter for this here. I actually really like this type that you can change it, because on another one, if you're on Serum and you're switching the types, like it'll just sound choppy because it won't be as smooth. So, and yeah, and oh yeah, the Forts mode that you're mentioning that you learned about, and there's also the groove. When you're playing around with the groove, you can go, I think it was the groove that you can go like way above, and then it can end up going into triplets, and like there's a lot of stuff. If you go to like extreme settings, you can do so. Glad I'm really happy that you're enjoying it. Okay, so low pass. Okay, so this is just showing you what it's doing when you're switching through these here. It's actually nice to be able to see. Okay. So it's basically, yeah, it's doing different stuff with it's doing different stuff with the resonance without you having to adjust the resonance, like because over here the Q is a little bit higher. Yeah, and there's going to be for the Ableton Move, you mentioned it had an update right before it arrived. There's a big update coming soon, the 1.5, I think it is, and it should be like any time now. And I thought Ableton Live update, like 12.2, was going to come out this morning. That was my plan. I actually didn't even think of what I was going to do as a video. I was sure it was going to. I looked at in the beta the things that they were updating, like that they had fixed since the last time. That list was really small. I was like, okay, it's going to be. They generally release Ableton Live updates on Tuesdays. I was sure that's what it was going to be. It wasn't. But last time it happened, I think that I was surprised they didn't do Ableton Live update. They did later that week the Ableton Move update. So there's a possibility that, and this is just like guessing based on like not a very wide sample, but basically you never know. They could come out with it on Thursday. But anyways, there's a bunch of stuff coming in 12.5, so or 1.5. So yeah, and the Ableton Move will be even more useful. I know one of the things, I don't know what kind, I can't remember what kind of music you do with it, but it's got chopping samples and stuff. Like you're able to chop up a little bit, like in Simpler, in Ableton Live, where you're able to chop up your samples. So, and there were a few other big-ish changes. So it's nice. They do keep updating. It's so nice when you turn it on and then all of a sudden you see there's an update for it. I don't know. It's always an exciting thing. Okay, the drive we haven't tried at all actually yet. But I'm trying to figure out, it seems like it's on. This is a resonance. Okay, we're going to get rid of these because it's getting a little annoying. So this is just the resonance and the frequency. So I'm not sure how we adjust the drive on here. Oh, it's just an LED that lights up when the signal in the filter is overdriven. Okay, so if we're going... That's why it's not, when we bring it down, it seems to go down. And then when we bring the resonance way up. I'm trying to hit with a little bit more velocity. Okay. So the drive just tells you that the signal's a little bit overdriven. And or by a high, yeah, okay. I'm guessing when the resonance is a little bit too high, it just, yeah. It throws a little bit too much in there. Okay, resonance amount. So that's just trying to figure out what they're... Okay, so all it is, because you don't see the, like if you're using Serum or whatever, you will actually see, as you move your resonance up, you will see this bump here. And so it's just showing you. So the higher you go, the more extreme it is, but it's also just a little bit of a narrow thing. So be careful when using loud audio levels. I don't like too much resonance. Like we don't notice it that much on here, I guess because the frequency is not that high. But when you have higher frequencies, I find the resonance gets really annoying. But I tend to use the frequency with the low resonance most of the time when I'm using filters. But depends on what you're doing, I guess. But if you're doing a 303 type bass, you might, your resonance will be a lot higher and you'll be using it a lot more. But the cutoff frequency, so that's this button here, which is basically on a filter. This is the main. It's just here. It's the main part of a filter, just like you've got this on every synth. But how much you want the filter envelope to affect the filter cutoff frequency? So okay. And then, so we've got these here, like we had earlier with the LFOs. So we've got the LFO built in for the filter. So if we take the delay down, it goes right away. This one lets us press the note and then it goes a little crazy. And then the keyboard again. I'm assuming the keyboard will affect how much the pitch of the note that's going in will affect the filter, but that's sort of a weird thing. I've been experimenting with making different genres, but mostly ambient. Oh, that's right. I remember it was like the ambient and lo-fi stuff. Oh, that'll be great for it. Like, really? It'll be... your biggest thing will probably be the snare on the Ableton Move of like nudging it over. And I'm trying to think. I think there's a way to do it, but... well, I don't know. Like I find that in lo-fi a lot of the time the snare is a little bit off, but yeah, I think you're going to find that really interesting. Set how much you want the filter envelope amount to be. Oh, by the keyboard velocity. Okay, that makes sense. The keyboard. Yeah, it'll affect it more if you're hitting the notes hot, like harder, it'll affect the filter a little bit more. And trying to get it to... Okay. The snare and the shaker, yeah, you're right. That's the thing with lo-fi. Like that was the biggest thing, is having that it feels like, yeah, that groove that's like a little bit off, but it's not off. And that was my biggest thing when I was working on lo-fi at the beginning, was like trying to get that. There's just that perfect little feel of it, and then if you can get it, it sounds like lo-fi. If you don't, it just sounds like a slow song that, with where you've got your velocity turned down on stuff. Okay, yeah, nudging with pressing and holding the note on the sequencer and using the... Okay, I remember there was a way to do it. See, you've been using it for not long at all, and yeah, you've really got a good grasp on it, because yeah, I couldn't even remember how to do it. So, and I've been using it since it came out. So, yeah, I'm glad you're enjoying. I love the little Ableton Move. And I actually got Ableton Note lately, and I've been like, it's weird. Like I couldn't even, it seems like something simple. I actually told my nephew, he was trying to figure out how to do music, And I said, "Oh, get Ableton Note, it'll be easy, whatever." And when I sat there, it's like it took me a while just to get it going. And I mean, like, I've been using Ableton for a very long time, and it just felt like a whole different tool once you pick it up. Like it took 5 minutes of like learning really what it did. And then it felt natural, but just the sitting down with it was really tough at the beginning. But I want to try to work with that of moving stuff between the Ableton Move and the Note on the iPad and then going back. But yeah, I think the Move will be my go-to a lot more, or, sitting on the sofa making beats. But it feels so wrong when you first try to make a beat on it. Turn helps testing the battery. Yeah, the battery. The battery life is good, right? Like I find that it impressed me how long it lasted. I don't know if it's just the way I use it, but do you find the battery life is pretty good? Frequency mod. I know we're going through two different conversations. We always end up talking about the Move because it's an interesting little machine, and I should set it up at one point and use it instead of the push. Use it as a for the MIDI as a MIDI controller, because I want to try the pads on there. This is still the push one, so the pads between the push one and the Ableton Move. Like Ableton Move is basically like the pads on the push two, and but there is a big difference between the two. So yeah, I should use that at one point. Filter envelope section. So that's just normal filter envelope. So we would use this to make the sound, have the filter go up and down every time you press a note, type of thing. Yeah, we won't go through that for now. Last pretty long for you. You did have it plugged in for one session. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things, and it doesn't have the auto off, so sometimes it's like you'll be doing something else, and all of a sudden you come back, and it's been going down ever since. But I noticed it does keep the battery. It does keep the battery life up quite a bit. So I was worried about it because I know the Push 3 is like 2-hour battery life if you get the standalone, and like that's not enough. This one I can't remember what they say. Is it like 4, 6? I don't know. I've noticed that like I don't even have to really think about charging it. It's just once in a while I'll turn it on and I'll be like, okay, it's down to 65%, so I end up boosting it back up. But okay, the ADSR, like any synth has. You picked up the case, yeah. Did you use get a case that's made for it, or did you use a lot of the time it's the people have been using keyboard cases and for the mechanical keyboards, and those seem to work well. That was my worry too. Like I don't know if I had mentioned it last time, but like when I had to travel with this one, and I actually put it back in the original box, and if you remember how it is when you take it out of the original box, it's tough to get the Ableton Move out of it because it's sort of like wedged in there, and you got to put the box upside down and hold it as it falls out. Yeah, I have to get a case for it. I know most people have been using those mechanical cases, but I think they're starting to have some that are actually made for it. But yeah, that's the worry is the encoders that stick out. You're worried about the encoders if you don't have a case, or are you worried about them with the new case you have? Like I got to find a case for this thing. Keyboard case, yeah, $27 Canadian. That's the way to do it. So it's because the ones that are made for the Ableton Move is like so much more expensive. They seem like they're pretty well the same thing. Like there aren't that many of them around, but I think I saw one the other day that was like, released specifically for it. So yeah, okay, without the case, you're worried about them. Yeah, that's the thing. You can't just drop it in a backpack. And they're gonna break up. They're gonna come off. So. Okay, that's awesome. I might have to get in touch at some point and figure out which case you got, because I've been hesitating, and there were a couple of them, and but that's what people tend to have been using ever since the start is the keyboard cases. The size is perfect. You've got the space for your cables in the top there, so And then, oh yeah, ADSR. That's these here, which is the same for any synth you use. Okay, we're gonna get rid of this LFO because it's a little annoying right now. So this is more for the attack. We won't go through how this works, but basically every synth will be the same. If you have it higher, the sound sort of fades in a little bit more, like for a pad. So with a pad, you'd want to turn these up. And if you want to pluck, you would bring these down and bring the delay down. There we go. So yeah, Ableton show the device just in a bag in the videos probably. Yeah, I would worry about those encoders as well. Like they stick out a lot and they feel like just hitting it the wrong way, the whole thing is gone. It's not just the button that'll break. Like you feel like it's going to break the whole thing. So, okay, so the amp section, basically the gain, velocity. So velocity will affect, okay, here we go. Here, it will affect how, when you're pressing it, if you're pressing just softly, I'm pressing it very, very softly, and it's always, I'm pressing them softly or hard. They're pretty close to the same. And then as we bring this up, this will affect how hard you press it. It affects how much it responds to velocity, basically. So, anyways, the same as every synth. The spread. Didn't we have an issue earlier with this spread where it was bringing it just to one side? This is interesting though, because as we press it, you're noticing it going left and right. Interesting. Okay, the spread isn't normal spread. Like usually spread is just unison. Stereo spread, spread pans, each alternate voice. Okay. I don't think that's usually what spread does. Maybe it does and I never really noticed, but so as we go up, it's going left, right, left, right. And then this doesn't affect it. I just wanted to see if it did. And yeah, you're right. For the Ableton Move, they are touch capacitive. So yeah, it's not just the stem. It's just a very simple on, up and down. They really do a lot. So I'm glad you found the case. I have to do the same thing. I like the feel of this actually with the spread. Yeah, it's interesting. Just how it just affects each note. So you obviously wouldn't usually go that extreme, but if you have it a little bit, it just moves things around a little bit. Might be nice, especially if you're making like drum type sounds or percussions or hi-hats, whatever. To have a little bit of movement in it. So the amp envelope. Okay, didn't we just go through the amp envelope? Oh, okay. This was a filter envelope, but it's the same thing. The amp envelope will be, yeah, that's what we were going through here. This is the filter one, which will affect how, it'll be the same thing as these do, but it'll be affecting what the filter itself does. So, okay. The mod LFO section. So that's, yeah, we went through this quite a few times already. The waveform selector. Didn't we go through this? Or did we go back up or what? I feel like we've gone through. Yeah, I feel like we've gone through this whole thing already, but maybe not. Maybe it was something different. The waveforms. The LFO waveform. Okay, so I seem to put this image here. That's what confused me. We were dealing with the oscillators and stuff, but we're talking about the waveform for the LFO. So this one here, and then this one here will be the same. But we went through that earlier. The rate, the delay, mod envelope. Okay, mod envelope, attack release. I don't think we looked at this one yet. So the attack release can be used for modulating parameters in the selected layer that feature the mod knobs with an envelope sector and the attack time and release time. But these won't affect unless we're doing I'm assuming these are going to affect this here. Yeah. I think I got to deal with this one on a day where I'm a little bit more awake at this time of the day. But okay, that's a section I want to revisit at some point, is the mod envelope section. And I want to get through the global. Geekery is 75%. Okay, I'm going to write that down actually. I don't know if that's the one I was looking at. There were a few of them that I looked at some point. And is it the one that has a line going across it? It seemed like that's what... 84 key. Yeah, I think that's one of the ones that I looked at, and I wasn't sure enough, and I ended up not getting it after all. But yeah, a lot of people are using it with the move, that one. And okay, the global LFO. Okay, global LFO we looked at earlier anyways. This one, so it'll basically, it won't be affected by any of this stuff. It'll just be it's on or it's off. Okay, so this mod LFO, so we're actually gonna reset this because these are affecting this here. We want to have no LFO on here at all. So okay, these are still affect. Oh, there we go. Now there shouldn't be any LFO affecting it, I don't think. Apart from this one. So if we take this one off, and then here we should be, there we go. Okay, so it's just really an LFO. But what is this one here? The FM. Okay, we got to figure out what these options here are for the LFO, the shape 1. Okay, it'll go through these in a second here. One shot button to have the LFO run one single. Okay. Okay, so instead of going over, it's basically just doing one at a time. Let's see here. The level, target selector. Shouldn't have an explanation of this here. The level and the target. Oops, or it may be later. No. So it's not really explaining what these do. The random slope and step waveform. So that's probably what these are the waveforms. Let's see which ones they have. Okay. Just very basic waveforms. The rate, the sync, one shot, level, target selector. Okay. By clicking the spin controls to the right of the waveform or clicking the display, you can control the morph position from the global LFO. You can set them up by picking the G LFO in the mix morph section. Mix morph, oh, G LFO here. So this will have the global LFO. So we should be able to, we're going to take off the one shot. Okay, so this basically, that's interesting. So it's taking this global LFO and I like how with these lights you're able to see what, which one it's going to. I would actually like to see this moving instead of the lights, so we'd sort of see it, but the lights give you a good idea. If we bring the rate down, you'd see it's just going basically back and forth. There are the straps inside. It's kind of funny. People with the Move left photo reviews on the product page. Well, that's good, because how many people are wondering if it works with the Move? So I'm glad some people are. Yeah, it's giving a whole second use to those cases. Okay, so that's interesting. And then okay, so I want to see what the shape, especially since we've got this. I don't think these are changing. Oscillator 1 to 2. I feel like this one is doing the morph between the A and B, but also the oscillator 1 to 2. So it's basically doing it two ways, but I'm not sure if that's what this is. And it's weird because they don't have any documentation about that specifically. That target selector, it's almost like this whole thing, I don't know, somebody had it on in a Trello card to add it, and then it never got put in here, but I'm not even sure that it's doing anything. Like, these are doing stuff. It seemed to be doing stuff earlier, so okay, so maybe we'll notice it a little bit more. I'm sort of wondering if these here are taking the oscillator, the shape. So it's actually, I'm not sure what this is doing. Like, because we've got the shape here, and then this shape here, the pulse. Like, I'm wondering if this has something to do with the pulse shape. I'm gonna have to sit and figure that one out. All right, thanks for dropping by again, Chill and Connect. It's always nice to see you, and yeah, enjoy your jam. And when they do Ableton Move update, I'll do a video or live stream or a video about it, probably a live stream. And when Ableton Live 12.2 comes out, I'll do a stream about that, and that should be soon. I really thought it would be today. Okay, so yeah, they don't really talk about this target selector, so that'll be one of the things of like sitting down, really spending some time with it and seeing how each of these affects the sound. That does sound. Yeah, they do all sound different. This level, I like the. Oh, are they? Is it possible that this is deciding what it'll affect? Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to figure out this little target thing at some point. So I'm assuming this is a target. This is what it's affecting. So this global LFO, yeah, that makes sense. I guess this global LFO is affecting, in this case, oscillators 1 and 2. It's affecting the shape of 1 and 2. We can make it affect the filter. Yeah, you can sort of tell. So that's what this is doing. So this here is deciding the shape, and this is just like you're just deciding what it'll affect. But knowing that, I guess you can just get the global LFO to affect one thing, so you can't get it to do the filter and your level at the same time. But anyways, okay, so that's what we have here. The chorus section, chorus, we went through that a little bit earlier. Yeah, I said, I'm not the hugest fan of chorus in the first place, but if you do like chorus, there it is. The reverb is interesting. Like I said, the echo is, I do like the echo on here because it does add the reverb with it. Do they mention that? The echo, reverb, decay time. Yeah, so. And then the connections. So we went through a little bit of the connections on the back. So you can adjust the oscillator 1 shape, which will be, the shape here. And the shape here. The FM amount here. The oscillator mix between left and right, and then the frequency and the filter type that we used earlier. I am really happy that these are in there because that will be really useful. Then you've got the mix morph that you can make adjust. That you can make something modulate this, and sequencer control. Okay, so and then you've got your normal output. So, and I'm assuming this is that to control something else. So I don't use CV that much. Like I use it, like we used it earlier, to get LFOs to control stuff or whatever, but that's about it. Okay, here we go. They say, so they are inputs from another CV or gate device, typically a matrix or an RPG8, and the signal controls the note pitch while the signal to the, okay. So I haven't used the matrix in a long time, but I used to use this on every track, like back on Reason 2.5, 2.5, 3, 4, 5, and around then I started to use other tools, but I always liked this here because there should be a randomized pattern here. The only thing is this won't be in key. Like, I guess I was using this a lot of the time before I understood how keys worked, but like how scales work and stuff. But still, so we should be able to take this. Okay, so it is controlling the CV and the gate already. So we should be able to just solo this. Oh, okay. So we can hear it, but it's just the notes are too high. Wow, it's been so long since I've used this. So let's just go to lower octave. And the attack is high, that's why. Oh, interesting. So we can basically use this the same way we could use either an arpeggiator, or there are a bunch of players in Reason that we can use for this. But so if we wanted to have it just do a very Okay, so it's just a way we can have it play like loop stuff without having to, and we could, because we do have this, it's sort of generative, like we can have, but like I said, it'll be all over the place. Like this will have stuff that's it works well for drums or things like that, but on something like this, you'll have stuff that's not, in the scale of what you're playing, but you can sit there and fix it up a little bit, or we should be able to. Actually, now that I think about it, we should be able to go to the scales and chords, remove chords, and then do, I don't know, F minor. No, it isn't affecting it. We need to... Okay, anyways, there probably is a way to throw this on. Oh, this is doing the same thing. Maybe if we put it below. anyways, there might be a way to get the matrix to be scale aware, but yeah, that's for another day. But basically, I do like this this randomized pattern. Sequencer control, mix more. So anyways, those are all the ones that we looked at earlier. I think this might be the end. There we go. That's the end of what they have for the Polytone. So it does have some. Okay, let's get rid of these. It does have some interesting features in here. It does. I was actually planning on playing it more than going through it, but yeah, it does have a bunch of interesting little features that. Where are we here? I'm just going to switch tracks. And we'll go unmute this, unsolo it. Yeah, see, I had this beat and I was planning on trying to do some see if I can find some sort of a pad. It does have a really nice sound. I don't know if what, like, depending on what you're listening to this on, if you're like just it does have a nice low end, so you can really feel it. And then let's do Lush and see. Oh, and some great news. If you're using Reason and you don't like this, the whole browser, like the pop-up browser, they spent a bunch of time, saying it's better, and people really couldn't get used to it, myself included. I'm getting used to it a little bit more, but I don't know. I do miss having it here on the left. They are beta testing it to put it back on the left. So I don't know how long it's going to take, but they were saying the other day they were looking for beta testers for the browser back on the left. So they listened to us and they're working on that, which is good news. Even just, I want to just bring the attack up a little bit. I may have to do it on both of these, depending on what's going on. Bring this down. It does have a really nice sound. That's one thing I noticed about this thing is when I was first trying it out, I noticed that a lot of the presets are super usable. Like, I find that a lot of the synth plugins, you'll get, maybe 2 or 3 that are like just okay, and then one good one, and then like 4 or 5 that are not bad, and then like one amazing one. This one actually, when I was going through the first time, there were a bunch of presets that I was like, I really, really like the sound of it straight from the start. So it does have some interesting presets, which tends to mean that it can, if you're making your own sounds, you can make some interesting stuff as well. It's not always exactly correlated that, they may have, some synths will, the presets won't be great. Actually, one of them like that, it was Wave OSC that I seem to be the only one who loves that thing, but the presets it comes with, I don't really enjoy, but I've been able to make some really interesting presets with it. So it doesn't necessarily, if the presets don't sound great, it doesn't mean that the synth doesn't sound great. Like, it depends on, how the preset was made and everything. But generally, if you have a bunch of really, really nice presets, a lot of the time, the synth does sound good. So, but like I said, it depends on how much time they spent on the presets compared to working on the plugin itself. So okay, I want to get rid of the pads, go back here. See, I always think like that, I think that's what confuses me too. Like this here, when I press this, it just looks like it's going to load up the actual Finder or whatever on a Mac, or Windows Explorer or whatever, File Explorer on Windows, where it feels like it's just going to open up the actual files of presets. I always forget that when you open this up, it actually just opens up your browser, and you can get it to go check all your sounds. It's just I tend to not press that button because I automatically assume it's just going to load your menu of files on your computer. So like these are. I have to change the scale on here because I'm not enjoying that. Oh, I pressed repeat by mistake, but that does sort of sound nice. I feel like this would go well with, what's the new tool that's like, because there was Pump that was this one here, the gate effect, but there's one built into, is it the sidechain? It's one of the new effects that in Reason might be one of these. It's not the sidechain tool. There we go. I feel like it needs maybe this, but not ducky. There we go. Anyways, it's an interesting little sound, especially on the repeat. I might change the... It's got an interesting, some interesting sounds in here, but that's something you can play around with on if you have this. Anyways, an interesting little synth, and it's really worth spending a bit of time in here because it really can do a whole bunch of stuff. And I like that there are a bunch of oscillators that just being able to morph between them and do a bunch of that stuff. Can help you get some sounds that you can't usually get. Like you can get the mix sound of going between two, but generally if you put two synthesizers together, like on two different tracks, you're not able to morph into one another with these settings and have something, like to have them really blended together. You're basically just stacking them. So it'll be worth playing around with this a little bit more. And I think that'll be it for tonight. And it's been a while since I've done a Reason stream, and I wanted to do that. I know I go between Ableton and Reason, and I know with my viewers it's like a bit of both too. And a lot of people really do love the stuff in Reason. So I always like to go through some of these. I have a whole bunch of these that I want to do. Like I want to do a bunch of Reason videos in the next little while. So anyways, that list is getting longer of stuff I want to do. If you have any questions about this, if you have any questions about any of the plugins that I use or anything, or if there's something you want to see in these streams or in these videos, let me know. I read every comment. So anyways, thanks to everybody who subscribes. Thanks to everybody who watches these things, who participates in the chat. It's nice to be able to, talk about this stuff with you guys. And see you guys next time. Thanks.